So, very good evening, everyone. So, I'm excited to introduce Priya Narayan. She's a TPR certified master trainer with an MS in biological engineering from UT Austin. With over 10 years of experience, she specializes in preparing students for the GRE, GMAT, and SET. And also, many of her students have received outstanding sectional scores, including 790 and 740 out of 800 in the digital SAT. So, please join me in welcoming Priya. So, Priya, now it's over to you. You can start.
Thanks, Kajal. Hello, all. Welcome to the webinar. I am Priya Narayan and happy to see so many of you joining the session. I hope you are all set for taking the SAT in October. Yeah, can we have a hands up so that it's like a recognition for us? Yes, is everyone all set for taking the test in October? Is Adit says yes. Yeah. Good job, people. Okay. Yeah. So a quick look into the structure of the test, right? So you know that this is a computer-based test, right? It's an online test, and you're supposed to carry either your laptop or your tab to the center and take the test, isn't it? And you have two sections basically, the reading and writing and the math section, and both these sections are administered in two modules. Both the modules in verbal, they have 27 questions with 32 minutes uh, per module. Okay. Similarly, if you look at the math section, you have 22 questions, right? And you have 35 minutes per module. Okay, and of course there are some pretext or the so-called experimental questions, so let us not bother about it for now, because for us we have 27 and 22 questions, right? Okay, so and the time that you have is roughly, a slightly more than a minute on the reading and slightly more than 1.5 minutes on the math, right? We'll talk about it as we reach timing management. Okay. Right. So what are the different areas that get tested in the math section, people? Have started here with math, though on the test we start with reading and writing. Yeah, can we have it in the chat box? Could you tell us what are the different topics or what are the main areas that get tested on the SAT math? Hi, people. Yeah, I can slowly see people messaging in the chat box. Yes. Geometry, yes. Algebra, then very good. Advanced math. Statistics, yes. Trigonometry, parabolas, yes. Functions, circles. Okay. And regressions, okay. And all of you would have noticed that at the beginning of the test, you have this formula given for you, right? You don't have to, it says that you don't have to memorize the formula, but just think about it. You know, it's a time bound test. Do you think you'll be able to go back to the formula, refer to them every time and come back and take the test? That would be difficult, isn't it? So we have to remember these formulas. So this is the right time to do a recap of the formula here, right? Because you just have a week's time. The quadratic identities, right? There are three quadratic identities, right? A plus b the whole square is a square plus b square plus 2ab, right? Similarly, you have a minus b the whole square and a plus b into a minus b, right? So you need to remember those formulae by heart. Then direct and indirect proportions are again often tested on the SAT, right? So you should know how they are linked, whether they are directly linked or inversely linked. Okay, percentage and percent changes. These are two different things, isn't it? How to calculate the percentage and how to calculate the percent change. Equation of a line, how to find the slope when 2 points are given, right? And yes, you said statistics, so we need to know how to find the average, weighted average, right? Median, mode, and the basic probability formulae, right? All these things you should be knowing. And with functions, do you remember the translations? What if I add one to the function inside? What I add one outside? What if I multiply the function? Right? What if I divide the function? How will the graph change? Do you remember those translations, people? Do you remember the properties of the functions? How the chart changes? Very good. I could see a few thumbs up. That's very important on the test again, right? So you might be asked to figure out which chart would be the result, isn't it? Aliza, if say you're given f of x is equal to x squared, okay? So what will happen if you have f of x plus 1, right? X plus 1 the whole squared, right? So how will the chart work? Does it move to the right or will it move to the left? Yes, people, can you tell me f of x plus 1? Will the chart move to the right or will it move to the left? It will move to the left, okay. If you have x minus 1, x minus 1 moves to the right, okay. And what if I multiply f of 2x? What happens to the chart? Okay, and what is meant by reflection? Right, so you have to remember these translation rules for the chart, right? Okay, now what are the other things that we have to see? Speed, distance, and time. Okay, so um, I mean, you should know how to relate these three, right? Speed into time is distance. And similarly, you have the work done also. So you should be able to relate to questions based on that, right? Whether, again, here we need to look into whether it's directly proportional or indirectly proportional, right? Then completing a square, when you have a quadratic expression, how to complete the square, right? Equation of a parabola, circle equations, how to complete the circle equations, and what are the rules of the exponents, right? When you add, when you multiply exponents or when you divide exponents, how will the powers change, isn't it? So all those rules you should remember again. And what is the SOHCAHTOA? Does it sound weird? Trigonometry, yes. Sine is opposite by hypotenuse, cos is adjacent by hypotenuse, and tan is opposite by adjacent, right? So an easy way to remember the three rules, SOHCAHTOA, right? Then how to find the area of the triangle. So remember on the SAT, half into base into height. That's a formula we use, right? We don't use the Heron's formula or other things. How to find the third side of a triangle, similar triangles, and more importantly, the Pythagorean triples. Are you people aware of the Pythagorean triples? Hmm. Okay. Area, volume formulae, area formulae, right? And exponential rates that you use for compound interest, and also if there is a depreciation or there is a growth, we use the exponential rates, isn't it? So those formulas should also be looked into, right? and majorly PEMDAS, the order of operations. PEMDAS is nothing but your board mass, right? So only the order of multiplication and division has changed, but don't worry, they are one and the same almost, right? So you don't have to worry about the order of M and D, right? But this is the preference, right? Parenthesis, exponents, multiplication, division, addition, and subtraction. That is the order in which you do the operations in any expressions, any algebraic expression. Okay. So is that clear, guys? Okay. So let us now do a few things. Okay, a few questions. For the function f, the graph y is equal to f of x in the xy plane has a slope 3 and passes through the point 0 comma minus 8. Okay, so which equation defines f? So if you know the slope and a point, so here we have the y-intercept, isn't it? Y-intercept is minus 8. So what formula will you people use? So y is equal to mx plus c. Yes, or y is equal to mx plus b. Good job. So the right answer would be option where m is the slope and b is the y-intercept, isn't it? So what will be the answer? Y is equal to 3x minus 8. Good job. Okay, what about this one? Which of the following lists represents a data set that has the same median as the data set shown? So what is the median of this given set? Yeah, the given set is 8, isn't it? So the median of the given set. So median will be the middlemost value of an arranged list, isn't it? So this is 8. Wait. And what will be the median of the first one? So here the median would be 6. So this is out. How will you find the median of the second one, people? There are 6 values, right? How will you find the middlemost value? Yes, the average of the third and fourth term. So 8 plus 8 by 2. So this is what we are looking for, right? Good job. Now, something based on cherry picking. A cherry picking machine picks 12 pounds of cherries in 3 minutes. At this rate, how many minutes does it take the machine to pick 96 pounds of cherries? People, I'm pausing the uh, transmission for some time. I'm going to reshare it because some of you are complaining that you're not able to see the slides. Okay, just give me 1 second. Is the screen visible now, people? Okay. So I understand that you are able to view it. No issues. That's okay. So now let us go to the next question. So the right answer for this would be C. Agreed. Now for the biggie, right? In triangle ABC, the measure of angle B is 90 degrees, and BD is an altitude of the triangle. The length of AB is 15 and the length of AC is 23 greater than the length of AB. What is the value of BC by BD? Yes. So who is going to give me the answer for this first?
Priya, you are not audible.
Hello.
Yeah, Priya, now you are audible.
Thank you. Okay, people. So I'm looking for an answer from your end. So what are the properties that you people used in this? Pythagorean theorem to find BC. So should you find BC, then how will you find BD? Did you think about the similar triangles? Very good. Pramod Pawar. Good job. So AC by AB, right? AC by AB will be equal to BC by BD. As simple as that, guys. AC by AD is equal to, using the similarity theorem, right? So what is AC? AC is 23 more than AB, right? So 38 by 15. Yes, we have to use a similar triangle. We need not sit and calculate the values of BC and BD. Okay. Now let us quickly move over to the reading, right? So your verbal section, the reading and writing section, has reading and the grammar punctuation based questions, right? So more than half, slightly more than half of the questions, the 27 questions will be reading based questions. Okay. So a few things to keep at the back of your mind when you're working with the reading questions. Always start with the question. I know you have a long passage beside it, not very long, but still, yes, maybe even 150 words, isn't it? But you don't have to know everything that is given in it, right? So when you read the question, you get the focus. Okay, this is what I have to find out. Do I need to know the main purpose, or do I need to know just an information about something, right? So to make things easy for us, we have to first read the question and get your focus right. Okay. So once you know this is what the question is asking for, focus and read that portion of the text. You don't have to understand the entire text. Please remember that. Okay. And how many of you are adept at using the uh, tools, the online tools available in SAT? On the verbal section, you have to. What are the tools? Yeah, Shruti says she does. Okay, good job. 3 or 4 hands have come up. Okay, so your highlighter tool and annotation tools should be used. They go together, right? You highlight it and then you have an option for annotation. If you click on annotate, you will get a box where you can type in whatever you want. Okay. Yes, crossing out wrong answers, you have the answer eliminators, agreed. But highlighting is very important on the reading. Please remember that. Okay, it will help you to focus on what is needed from the text. Okay, after you have read the text or even while reading, either way, remember to highlight. And once you have completed the text, if it's a complex test, you want to annotate, say for a purpose question, you want to annotate an answer, go ahead and put it down in the annotation box. Okay. And remember that each question is asking you for a different thing. Sometimes a question may ask you for the purpose of the text. Sometimes it can ask you for a specific detail. Sometimes it can ask you for an information that would support the claim in the text. Okay. So every question has a way to deal with it. Vocabulary question are a totally different ball game, right? Okay. Alisa, no. The thing is, we think it is a waste of time, but when you read the text, you will have the answer at the back of your mind. I totally agree with that. But unless and until you're very sure about the wording, right, when you go to the answer options, you might get confused, right? You will be thinking that, yes, I know what the answer is like. But unless and until I type it down or put it down on a scratch paper, I cannot be sure of it. Okay, that is why going to take just a few more seconds, but it is really worth the time. Okay. So at least for the complex test, please ensure that you annotate. Okay, so where are we? Yes, know the common trap answers. So on the reading, the common trap answers would be something like recycled language, meaning, see, you're reading the text, a few things would have gotten into the mind, name of someone or some specific terms, right? If you get to see them in the answer options, what will you do? Provided you have not highlighted, you have not annotated, okay, just read the text, went to the answers, what will happen? You will choose that, right? It would sound so nice to me. I remember seeing all these words in the text. Yeah, but it's a recycled answer. It will not answer the question. The context in which the words were used in the text will be different from the context it is given in the answer. Okay. And that's one major type of trap answers that we have to be careful about. Another important thing would be beyond the text. If you start assuming, you come to the answer options, you will see a lot of assumptions waiting for you. Okay, so that again will be a big trap. Okay, the third type of answers again we need to be careful about is right answer, wrong question. What will happen is you will find an answer that will be pretty much consistent with what is given in the text. The question is asking you for the main idea. The answer is will give you the details about something mentioned in the text. You will be like, yes, this is correct. See, it is there in the text. So this is probably my answer. Okay. But what is the question asking you for? The main idea, right? So how do we avoid this? You have to be very careful about what the question is asking. Highlight the task in the question, right? Be sure what the question is asking for, and when it comes to the answer, again ask yourself, does this answer my question? Yes, command and evidence questions, you're right, Dua. Okay, and vocabulary is very important. So we see around like 7 or 8 questions, right? Two options would give the same answer feeling, like really similar with no recycle text. What will, see, if it is not recycle, it could be like an extreme answer. One answer can have a slightly extreme tone than what is mentioned in the text. That is one thing which you have to look for. Second thing is any assumptions which are not made in the text, which are not mentioned in the text, might appear in the answer options. That is why the answer may find or may seem a little, you know, it may seem right to you. Okay, maybe it matches with what you were thinking. Okay, so the best way to avoid these two answers, right? Like I said, will be to either highlight or annotate. No, this is what my answer should be like. Okay, is how can we build the vocabulary? So vocabulary building is should happen on a regular basis. See, it's not just going to help you with SAT. It will help you with your school also on a long run, right? As far as SAT goes, there are certain word lists. Princeton also has its own hit parade, right? So you can start learning the words on a daily basis. Okay. And another important thing is whenever you're taking a mock test or practicing some drill questions or from either from college board or from some other source, right? Whenever you come across a new word, not just in the vocabulary question, it could even be in your purpose question or main idea question, put those words down in a notebook, write down the meaning, and try to frame a sentence with that word. Okay, so you have to learn vocabulary maybe from scratch. It depends on person to person, right? Some of you are very good at vocabulary, others If you find, for all of you, this is the instruction or this is the tip, that any new word that you come across, put it down and try to learn that word. Right? Slowly your vocabulary will get stronger. Okay, so that was about reading. Right. So the first question. So what did I say? Which choice completes the text with the most logical and precise word or phrase? Okay, so this is asking us for a vocabulary, right? See, for this type of question, again, your annotation is very important. Okay, unless and until you are very sure about the meaning of the word that goes into the blank, there is all chance that you will fall for a trap. Right? Here also your recycle language uh, will be a possible trap. Okay. Okay, so I do see a lot of questions coming up here. People, the last 10 minutes are meant for Q&A. Okay, so please, excuse me, so please wait till such time. Okay, yes. So cucurbits, a group of plants that include squash and melons, relied on mastodons to spread their seeds in the ice age. When these animals died out, cucurbits faced extinction in turn, having lost their means of seed dispersal. Around this time, however, the ancestors of indigenous peoples in North America began raising cucurbits as crops, thus blank the plant survival. So, thus ensuring, right? Yeah. So sometimes it's better that you don't look at the answer options, come up with your word for the blank, right? So what do we know? We can highlight things here, right? What is the clue? The ancestors began raising cucurbits as crops. So there was a, they faced extinction, and these people began raising cucurbits as crops, right? So what did they do to the cucurbits? They kind of saved it. So ensuring the plant survival. Okay. The next question is, which choice best describes the function of the underlined sentence in the text as a whole? Okay. So here we have to remember that we are looking for a function of the or function or the role, or indirectly this question is asking you, why was this sentence written by the author? Okay, so we have to remember one thing: when you're reading a paragraph, every sentence there will be there for a reason, right? It will be connected with the previous sentence and it will be connected with the next sentence. Okay, so as we read the text, we have to figure out the how the sentence is related to the previous one. This is the last sentence here, right? When ancient oak plants were unearthed during subway constructions in Rome, Mauro Bernabe and his team examined the growth rings in the wood to determine where these planks came from. By comparing the growth rings on the plants to records of similar rings in oaks from Europe, the team could trace the wood to the Jura region of France, hundreds of kilometers from Rome. Because timber could only have been transported from distant Jura to Rome by boat, the team's findings suggest the complexity of Roman trade routes. Okay. So why is this new information given? As many of you, I think, got it right. It presents a conclusion about the Roman trade, right? The complexity of the trade based on the wooden planks. Yes, good. Okay. Which choice logically completes the text? So this is the kind of question which you will see in the end of the text. Okay, so this is again asking you for a logical completion, isn't it? So again, no assumptions, no recycled, no beyond the text kind of answers. You just have to focus on what is given in the text. Okay. Some businesses believe that when employees are interrupted while doing their work, they experience a decrease in energy and productivity. However, a team led by Harshad Puranik, who studies management, has found that interruptions by colleagues can have a social component that increases employees' sense of belonging, resulting in greater job satisfaction that benefits employees and employers. Okay. So remember, when we are looking at a conclusion question, the answer or the sentence that is going to help you answer will be the one with the blank or the sentence that comes before it, right? So what has this guy found? That it gives a sense of belonging, resulting in greater job satisfaction that benefits both the employees and the employers, isn't it? So that should be your focus. Okay, so yeah, again, I do see a lot of answers here. Option A, interpersonal benefits of some interruptions may offset the perceived negative effects. Yes. So that is what the study's findings prove, isn't it? Now, the last part. So I mean, talking about the grammar, there are very few. Shruti, it is generally perceived that when someone is interrupted during the work, the energy level decreases, isn't it? But what does the new study find? That there is going to be some kind of positive impact, isn't it? Which is going to be beneficial for both the employees and the employers. Therefore, businesses should recognize. So, what should they recognize? That interruptions are fruitful, isn't it? Yes, it is to support the interruptions. Okay. The common grammar rules tested on the SAT, they include subject verb agreement, verb tense, and pronouns. Okay. Right. So, I mean, there are a few more things like modifiers and other things, but majorly subject verb agreement, verb tense, and pronouns. These are the major grammar rules tested. Okay, so singular subject, singular verb, plural subject, plural verb, that's the rule. Same thing with pronouns, they should be consistent with the nouns they are replacing, right? And you should know the usage of the common verb tenses, like when to use present perfect, when to use past perfect, how the verb should be consistent with the other verbs in the sentence, right? So these are some of the things which you should keep at the back of your mind when the question is testing you on verbs. Okay. Then the common punctuation rules that we would have come across includes connecting clauses. How will you connect an independent clause to a dependent clause? Or how will you connect an independent clause with another independent clause? What are the types of punctuations that you can use there? Okay, so that's one of the majorly tested topics, right? Another important and slightly trickier one would be necessary and unnecessary information. So when you see descriptive information in a text, so if it is necessary, you don't use any punctuation. But if it's an extra information, we use either commas or two dashes. to segregate the information from the remaining part of the text, isn't it? And of course, lists. So we are aware of the commas, using commas on the list, but sometimes when you have a complicated list, um, a semicolon would be used to connect the items, right? So you should know when to use commas and when to use the semicolons. Okay, and post your grammar rules, you will see questions that test you on transitions, right? 2 to 3 questions in every module that ask you for the right transition. So in that case, you should know the meaning. You should know how the two sentences are related or the two ideas are related. And also, you should know the meaning of the commonly tested transition words in the SAT, right? So here again, it's like learning vocabulary. Every time you come across a new transition word, put it down, learn the meaning, okay? In the rhetorical synthesis questions, again, these are the ones that come in the end, right? The bullet point kind of questions. Here you have to identify the goal. The goal will be mentioned in the question. So please ensure you identify the goal, right? And once you have identified the goal, don't waste your time reading the text. Jump into the answer options to see which one matches the goal, right? So that is a trick, okay? Time saving trick. Right. Learn to use the answer eliminator. So it's very relevant because sometimes where should the transition words still and specifically? So still is used in a contrast like nonetheless, nevertheless, regardless, right? And those sense you will use still. Specifically means you're talking about one specific detail, not a broader thing, but a specific detail. Then we use specifically. Being said so, is that a transition? In doing so. So, okay, Dua, I might not be able to explain it here, but again, it all boils down to the context. You have to see how the two sentences are related, right? Whether it's a cause effect. So, in doing so, sounds more like a cause effect scenario. You did this, and this is the result. Yes. So, I was talking about the answer eliminator tool in the SAT, right? So with answer eliminator tool, see, sometimes when you read something sounds good to you, you might fall for that answer, okay? But please ensure that you are choosing the answer which is grammatically correct. If it doesn't match with the rule, eliminate those answers. Sometimes you might end up with an answer that does not even sound nice to you, but happens to be the correct answer because of the rules, okay? So you have to be careful about the uh, writing rules. Okay, so let us try this one. US Geological Survey wants to map every humankind structure in the United States and it is asking volunteers to help. Tessie Tammy Wang and Ashish D'Souza are just two of the many volunteer map editors who belong to the project since it began in 2012. So what answer have contributed? Have contributed? Any other answer? So it should be have contributed, right? We are talking about present tense, but we are talking about something which started in the past and it is continuing into the present, isn't it? So that deserves a present perfect tense, has or have plus the past participle form of the verb, right? Okay. Haiku like poems of Thomas Transtromer which present nature and dream, influenced images in crisp, fair language, have earned the Swedish poet praise for leading contemporary writers. Among them, uh, Nigerian essayist and novelist Teju Cole, who has written that Transformers works contain a luminous simplicity. So what do we see here? We see period, we see semicolon, commas. So it cannot be A, isn't it? The second sentence is technically not a sentence, starting from among. The second clause, like what we can call it to be, is not an independent clause. So we're going to eliminate A. We can eliminate C also. Remember, on the SAT, your period can be replaced with a semicolon. They are treated equally, right? So if your period is wrong, the semicolon is also bound to be wrong. Okay. So that brings things down to B and D. It should be D, additional information, right? After the main clause. So we're using a comma to segregate it from the sentence. Okay. So let us try this transition one. Why not D? One topic where if there is a period we cannot use. No, no, no. Rikhil, what I meant was you can either use a period or a semicolon. Okay, they both are treated as equal. They are used to connect to independent clauses. So in this case, we don't have the second part is at least not an independent clause. We cannot use a semicolon or a period for that matter. Okay, no issues. All right, the next one is in addition. So when will you use in addition? Duva, once those are chosen in addition, it is like an extra point. You have said something and you're adding more to it, right? But here, let us look at the context. What does the first sentence say? That more diverse generation of artists are stepping into the podium, right? So this one talks about Alondra de la Parra and Colombia's Lina Gonzalez. So what are these? These are examples, am I right? Are examples or additional points, people? So it should be for instance. Okay, so talking about the time strategies, we are actually running out of time, right? So understand the digital format and adaptive nature of the test, right? So if you see a harder section later, don't panic because you had done the first section um properly, right? You've gotten many questions right. That's why the second section has gotten harder. Okay, and be ready to face that scenario. Okay, you do the first one well, the second one is going to be harder, but you're going to have the same amount of time. So you need to tackle the questions in a slightly faster way, right? And use the on time, on screen timer, but don't just keep peeping at it all the time, right? That would only raise your BP. So have that internal clock. Okay, your every verbal section, sorry, every verbal question you can spend 70 seconds, and every quants questions you can spend 95 seconds. Okay, so you should have that innate thing. Okay, maybe I'm overshooting my time, right? So please remember one thing: no question is worth more than 2 minutes. If you are spending more than 2 minutes, remember you are, something is wrong. So leave that question. Either you guess on that question or mark that question, come back to it. You have the option for flagging the questions, right? So any time consuming question. Sometimes you look at the question, it is going to take me a longer time to solve this. So let me keep it for the end. Like the geometry question that we saw, right? You need to draw the diagram and you need to figure out the similar triangle and all that, right? So decide when you want to do the question, okay? So, or do all the easy questions in one go, especially on the math, and the harder ones, you mark them, come back to them later. In reading and writing, you can have a slightly different strategy. So if you're very good with vocabulary, do that. Or if you're very good with the grammar, punctuation thing, start with that and then come back to reading, okay? Do it like a category wise. Don't just jump from one question to another, and learn to complete the test. There is no negative marking. So feel free to guess. Okay. Learn to make predictions on the reading and writing section, and use your calculator wisely. You have the Desmus online Desmus calculator also available, isn't it? Okay. So, and test day tips, don't learn anything new. So, if you might have prepared for 2 months, 3 months, right? So you're not going to learn anything new on the day or two before the test. Okay, so stop learning new things. Yes, you can use a physical calculator, allowed. There are certain specific calculators that are mentioned in the College Board website, so you can use one of them. Relax and get good rest. Okay. Keep the confirmation email and your ID proof ready for the next day. Okay, and on the D-Day, have a light breakfast. Don't skip the breakfast, and carry something light with you. You have a 10-minute break, right? Have some juice or cookies or something that will give you instant energy so that you can manage with the math section. Okay. And also try to be there at the center slightly earlier than the time mentioned. If they tell you to be available at 7:45, you plan to be there at 7:15, 7:30 itself. Nothing wrong in reaching the center earlier. Okay. And yeah, relax during the break. Don't try to go and discuss things with others. Okay. Just be to yourself. Right. So these are some of the tips that I wanted to share with you people. Right. So it's a question and answer time. Kajal. What is the marking scheme? See, when you make more mistakes in the reading, the second section, right? Second module, you're bound to lose more marks. There may be two people who have made only one mistake. One may end up with a 790, another one may end up with a 780, depending on where your mistakes are. Answering inference. Inference and verbals are the no, Dua. Once you exit the first module, you will not be able to return to that. You mean conclusion and main idea? So for main idea, focus on the topic. Okay. And conclusion, like I said, focus on what comes right before it. A conclusion should talk about something which is mentioned in every sentence, in fact, right? Okay. So they give a lot of questions on regression geometry, which will take a lot of time. So I think I told you that, right? and if you do module well on module 1, it is bound to be difficult, but you have to practice. So nothing can beat practice, isn't it? You know that it's going to be difficult. See, you also know what kind of questions you're going to see, right? So why don't you equip yourself to face those questions, Rikel, right? How can we? So someone asked how to improve from the 1350 to 1500. So it's actually, you have to look at the nuances because you're almost there on the. Uh, I mean, there could be like specific areas where you lack. Figure that out. So in math, what are your issues? What are your weak areas? Right? And similarly, what are weak areas in verbal? Am I not, or am I making mistakes in the grammar questions? Right. So figure out what areas you're actually weak in and start working on that. Okay. Does Manya offer SAT tutoring? Yes, we do. Uh, yes, Alisa, the instructions for the calculators are given, and my suggestion will be you can practice with the Desmos, right? So that you don't have to carry a calculator with you. You can use the Desmos calculators, provided you are conversant with that. Do you know any free resources specifically for SAT math? You have Khan Academy for practice, and of course, College Board gives you 6 full-length tests. How to access Manya? You can reach out to Kajal after the session tour. We have shared, see in the screen, we are sharing our toll-free number also, right? So you can reach out to us through that. If it is not mentioned, Aliza, you will not be able to use it. No, once you have the same set of questions. Is this test prep free? No. Yes, people, any other queries?
So thank you, Priya. And before we wrap up this webinar, I want to highlight some exclusive benefit for our webinar attendees, and as we are committed to supporting your SAT journey. So first, you all will be receiving the free psychometric test where you can analyze and understand your strengths and weaknesses. Second, you are going to also have 30 days free access of TPR portal, SAT TPR portal. Third one, you are going to receive 1 hour expert session, and fourth one is going to be a free strategy session with a master trainer. And after this webinar, one of our Manya counselor will call you to discuss it about all these bonuses. So please be sure to answer about it. And thank you once again, Priya, and all of you for joining us today.
Okay, TPR is the Princeton Review. Yeah. Thanks, Kajal. Thanks, people. All the best for your October test.